And I think last year, she was one of the few players that I think played just about every game. So she's an adorable kid, knock on wood, and when she's got it going and she's feeling it and the confidence level is high, like Dorka said, she's able to. She's able to do pretty much whatever the game calls for. When she goes on those rebounding tears, it's like she gets everyone, and at both ends of the floor. And when she's attacking the basket and drawing fouls, and so there's an element that she brings that if you don't have that element, it's hard to win tournament championships. It's hard to win in the postseason.
Doug?
Hey, Geno. It seems like it's a strange year across the nation. I mean, South Carolina's undefeated, but they haven't been like the dominant team that you guys were when you won 4 in a row of running through everybody. They've had a rally at times, and everyone else seems to lose to a bunch of people. How open do you think the NCAA is going to be, whatever the bracket is revealed next Sunday, for teams to come out and potentially pull off more of these upsets we've been seeing?
Well, until somebody beats South Carolina, they're still undefeated, and they're still the favorite, as they should be. In terms of everyone else, it's really hard this year to pinpoint, given some of the conference tournament outcomes. Really hard to pinpoint who really is playing or has played, let's say, for the last 3 weeks. Like, you could say they're pretty much going to be a championship contender. So everybody's had their turn. Everybody's looked the part. Everybody's looked the other way, which is a great sign for the NCAA tournament, right? Which means that more teams are in the mix, as it should be. One of the things that the NCAA, the women's basketball tournament, has to catch up, which we are. Obviously, we're still very young. There has to be an uncertainty to the games. There has to be, like last year, Creighton. There has to be teams coming out that you don't want to play in the postseason. That more upsets happen. Where you're seated maybe is important, but whose bracket you're in, and you catch the wrong team at the wrong time. Years ago, that didn't matter as much because the favorites just kind of rolled through everybody. The talent has spread out a little bit more now, and I think this might be one of the more exciting NCAA tournaments, in recent years.
Here on the left, Don.
Geno, I know this has been a difficult year for you in a lot of different ways. Can you just talk about the feeling you had on the floor dancing, I guess, with your grandkids and dancing around the confetti, and what relief and satisfaction? What was that like for you?
Yeah, remember we talked about the other day about how you want winning to be special here in Connecticut, like it is every place else, instead of, we have to win. And it's just, when you coach long enough, you describe coaching as there's misery and relief, And when you lose, it's misery, and when you win, it's relief, not even joy. But when it almost felt like a chapter had been closed. Like, I can just sit back now and really let everything like wash over you that you've been holding in. So many things have happened on and off the court this past season, personally, team-wise, everything, that to get to this point, you want to just close that book and now start a brand new one starting next Sunday. And that book ended the right way. You know, I had a lot of acts, and I had a lot of tragedies, and I had a lot of ups and downs, I had a lot of stuff, but the book ended the right way. And now it's time for a new one. And that's always exciting. But these next 10 days, you know, we got to go recruiting. We still got to do our jobs. We can't sit around and, you know, stare at our trophies. But for the next couple of days, I think we're just going to take a deep breath and let it all come out. We've been holding a lot in.
Sorry, Coach.
That's okay.
We got a question in the third row on the left, and then we'll come up to Mel.
Geno, what happened with Aubrey today? She started the second half, but then came out really quickly and didn't come back in.
Something happened in the first half, and her back started to spasm up. So she went in the locker room at halftime, tried to get some work done on it. And I thought, I don't want her sitting around, you know, and it gets worse. So let's let her get out there and loosen up. And watching her go up and down the floor twice, I realized she wasn't going to be able to go. So, back spasms. And having had back surgery, I don't blame her. I mean, I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often.
Mel, here in the front row on the left.
No.
You're segueing right into it. You've seen all the Villanova teams, even though it wasn't hands-on till the late 80s. They hit the top 10 for the first time today. Where is this team in the scheme of the programs? Because, you know, they've had a few great ones along the way.
I've always said, no disrespect to our players or any other players in the league, but when you have the best player on the floor, then you have a chance to win every game. Yeah, well, how do you know? Well, trust me, I've been there a lot. You know, when you have the best player on the floor, you're a hard team to beat. And there have been other really good Villanova teams, outstanding Villanova teams. But maybe since the Shelley Pennyfeather years, when she clearly was the most dominant player, there hasn't been anybody that can just single-handedly win a game for them. They've always had to do it, you know, as a team, and they did it exceptionally well. And I think Denise coaches this team brilliantly, and they play hard and they play with an edge, and there's a toughness about them. And I think they're going to be hard as hell to beat in the NCAA tournament. I don't care who they play, because I don't think if you haven't played them and you haven't seen that, you're in for a treat.
We have a question third row on the left.
Geno, you talked a few months ago about learning to kind of relinquish what you can't control and focus on what you can. And I guess from a coaching perspective, how's that journey been the last few months? And is it easier said than done, or how would you describe where you are with that?
It comes and goes. You know, somebody said, you know, you should lean on your staff a little bit more, you know? And I go, they already do everything. You know, I have, you know, the easiest job probably of any head coach in the country because my staff is just unbelievably good. What I have to, you know, constantly be on the lookout for is wanting every game and every possession and every day to be like yesterday or like the first 3 quarters today. And that's just not possible. So, you know, you start to learn to take that they were brilliant yesterday, And for 3 quarters, we're up 25 with 3:25 left in the third quarter. We were magnificent. So if you're going to enjoy that, well, then you got to take the fourth quarter too and just laugh it off. And, back in the day, I had a hard time doing that. Back in the day, meaning like last week. After we lost the Xavier game. Did we lose the Xavier game? No, actually we won, but it felt like a loss. It felt like a loss. And Jamel's always reminded me, and CD's always reminding me of that. You win a game, but you play lousy. You're unhappy because you keep projecting, this is unacceptable. We can't go on like this, la, 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 la. And, don't go in the locker room and make this feel like a loss. Save that for tomorrow. And I've gotten much, much better at that.
Coach, thanks very much. We look forward to seeing the next act.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for everything.
Thank you.